Hi everyone, this is Tanya from Flying Dog Studio. Thank you so much for joining me in this part 3 of my Derwent Inktense Watercolor experiment. Now if you're just finding this video and you said part 3, yes, there's a part 1 and part 2. I will link those down below, and if you haven't watched those, or you have watched them and you haven't watched where I swatched all of these colors from the Derwent Inktense set, then I'll link that one down below too. It's worth watching to see what all of these colors do. I am not going to be talking a lot during this video. I will hop on occasionally, but I've already kind of explained my process in previous videos, but I will tell you in this video we are going to be taking off, as I said at the last part of part 2. We did the leaves and we really built up the color on those, so it faded out our background. And this video we are going to be working strictly on the background. We're going to be layering some more colors and doing some more experimenting. And for those of you that are just joining this, I am working on 100% cotton cold press paper, and it is textured, and I wasn't too worried about the texture. I kind of wanted to see what the texture looked like with these pencils, because this was not a very detailed photograph that I worked with. This was taken in my backyard, kind of dusky dark, and the light was shining where it gives it sort of that orange glow on the leaves, and it was a little bit blurred out, so I didn't have a lot of details. So I thought it would work perfectly for cold press paper, just to see what the texture looked like when we added the water. So that's what we're doing on here, and I will jump back on in a bit and talk a little bit more about what I've done in this process. So basically I've been using the deep indigo, the leaf green, and then I'm adding in a bit of the baked earth to kind of get all of those darks in the background. And I'm just going to continue with this part and just laying them down randomly. There's really not a pattern to it. As I said in a previous video, I do have a reference. I'm using it for a color reference. I'm not necessarily using it for looking at the different patterns and where all of the colors and stuff are laid out. I know where things are dark. I know where things are light. There was actually a building in the background, our storage building, and I really didn't want to get that in there. So I picked up some of the colors from other parts of the photograph and I put them in this part of the photograph. So that's part of being an artist. You can take those artistic liberties and change things as you need to, and I think that's a really fun thing about art. So we're just going to keep adding these down, and we're going to keep putting the water on there and blending them together. Now that my paper is completely dry, I have a lot of green here and I want to tone that down a little bit. So I picked up just straight bark and it's a pretty dark brown, and I know from my swatching that it can take over some areas. But I also know that I have deep indigo down there which can compete with that bark. So I'm careful about where I'm laying it down, and I'm careful about my pressure, but I do need all that dark to kind of ground everything. We just don't want a random green background. We are trying to pick up all those shadows and trying to make everything blend together. And at this point, I do want to apologize because I know the desk is really shaking. This is a desk. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I have had it since college. So this desk is over 30 years old. And I have a new one that I just haven't had time to put together. So it's a newer desk and it's a little more stable. So yay. Maybe we won't be shaking in upcoming videos. We'll see. I hope not. But I'm going to finish this up with the bark, and then I'm going to pick up the apple green and get some of those lighter greens back in that we had previously, because the sun is still shining on some of those areas and I do want to pick those back up and include them. quickly coming to the end on this one, but I did want to point out how well those light colors, the orange and the yellow there that I added onto the dark, can really hold their own when you layer them on top of a dry layer. So every time I'm putting these colors down, keep in mind that my previous layer is completely dry. Just a reminder of where we started. This is what it looked like, and now you can tell the difference. Those leaves are not quite as bright on us anymore, but we gave a mouse a cookie, so we're going to have to give it a glass of milk. So in our next video, we're going to finish up those leaves and finish up this entire piece. Thanks so much for watching, and if you have any questions or comments or any advice on working with Inktense, if you've done that before, please drop those down below in the comments, and let's be a community that helps each other out and learns all of this together. Thanks again for watching. I appreciate your being here, and I will see you in the next one.